Hello Leos, welcome to your 2020 prediction reading, Leo. I'm excited to get shuffling here and see what shows up with the tarot cards. So Leo, I'm keeping it pretty simple with these 2020 prediction readings. I'm just going to do a Celtic cross spread. Feel free to go ahead and take a few deep breaths. Just relax and tune in here. I feel like there's a little bit of anxiety surrounding some of us Leos at the end of 2019 and moving into the new year 2020. Anxiety surrounding taking on too much, taking on a burden that you don't need to overburden yourself with. Perhaps you've been trying to accomplish more than usual. Perhaps you've set your expectations a little too high in some ways. And that's kind of coming up right at the beginning here, I'm feeling. I have very strong Leo energy myself, as many of you know. I'm specifically drawing from the tarot deck today. Okay, Leo, I feel like this is where it starts. Okay, let's look at this roadmap of 2020, ushering in the new decade for you. So center card, which tells the overall theme and purpose. Ooh, we have the High Priestess, Leo. Wow. You know, Leo, it feels like many of us have been already learning, diving deep into earth magic, into occultism, many Leos, you know, into metaphysics, into tarot, astrology, all of those subjects, the esoteric laws, and just tapping into higher consciousness. But that is going to be just even more intense in 2020 with the High Priestess being in the center here. There's just going to be more intense, but I feel like, you know, intense in a, you know, mostly positive way, Leo, here. Intense just downloads and psychic awareness. You know, the High Priestess is an excellent card to see when it comes to powers of perception, observation. Some of you Leos may find yourself just studying even deeper, you know, getting into master classes or just accessing master knowledge. You know, you've been, you know, at beginner stage or intermediate stage, and you're moving on up to mastering. Enlightenment, you know, powers of consciousness, powers of enlightenment, powers of awareness. And I feel like with the High Priestess here too, there's this message speaking that many of us Leos are going to be truly discovering the balance with energy, like how to work with energy in a balanced, equal kind of way. So the challenge, okay, so the challenge here in 2020 for you, Leo, is the Five of Cups. Mourning over past losses, I feel like. And sure, it could be speaking of some other relationships specifically, or just other kinds of losses, material loss, but I feel like the Five of Cups is speaking a little bit more to the relationship loss. So, I mean, you could experience some of that in 2020, but I feel for many Leos, this is talking about holding on to the past and some of the past wounds and past hurts and losses. You know, what did you lose in 2019 or even a few years ago? What did you lose that perhaps you still haven't quite recovered from? You know, maybe you've moved on from the person here, but have you moved on from the feeling, from what you wished they would be or what you wished the situation would have been for you? And I do feel there's a sense of forgiveness that wants to come through with this. And that's going to be how you can best cope, and not just cope, but find peace with the challenge in 2020. So forgiveness with expectations, like I brought up in the beginning here, and any sort of losses. Because where losses may be, more gains will follow. That's what the Five of Cups says here with these upright cups in the background. You know, they're standing upright right behind the person here. So let's see, at the root of your reading, we have the Nine of Cups. Okay, a lot of water energy so far, Leo. Nine of Cups, though, is speaking of finding a lot more inner peace in 2020. I feel this strongly with, Nine of Cups. A lot more inner peace, feeling satisfied. Like even if your circumstance in life still isn't where you want it to be exactly, there's more of just this inner peace. Like I feel like many of you Leos, if you've been struggling with that, you know, being happy where you're at right now in the present, it's gonna just be easier for you to feel gratitude and feel at peace with your present circumstance and place in life right now. So that's beautiful. And you know, where that inner peace and gratitude and joy is, Leo, I feel like more is, you know, physically going to manifest for you. So let's see. In the recent past, we have the Page of Cups. So, you know, right at the beginning of 2020, in January, even in December 2019, this energy is here. Page of Cups. Okay, so there is, I feel like some new spiritual downloads or new learning opportunities when it comes to, once again, spiritual matters, consciousness, enlightenment, occultism. There's some communications that are being conveyed to you, you know, whether that's specifically from spirit guides, from your dreams, from signs and symbolism that you cross, you know, just in your community. pay attention. You know, it'll be different for everyone how the messages manifest, but they are coming. And I just feel like it's ushering in this new wave, Leo, of masterful enlightenment. But there's some sort of, right at the beginning of the new year here, I feel like many of you Leos are just going to be drawn to starting some sort of new class or some new exploration, new reading, new learning and education of some sort. But specifically that does have to do with spiritual matters like we talked about. Now I do feel like, especially with these two being next to each other here, there could be an important person who is the bearer of these messages and psychic insight, who is either a Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. So pay attention to that. The Magician up next in the present area. So now and at the beginning of 2020 as well, okay? The Magician, yes, Leo. Creating from what you've learned, I feel like here. Manifesting quickly with the knowledge and spiritual enlightenment that you have gained. Putting that to work with the Magician here. That's gorgeous. Excuse me, I'm taking a sip of my tea. Leo, be affirmed and encouraged. You do have the right tools at your disposal. If you've been looking, you know, if you've been looking at the outside, if you've been looking for exterior solutions, Leo, what this energy is telling me with the major arcana here is that you have all the tools. You have the knowledge in hand. For some reason, you might be overlooking it at this time, but once we get into the new year, it's definitely becoming more evident, and you're going to be using it quite quickly with the Magician here. So just be encouraged. If you've just been wondering, like, where's my opportunity? Where's my chance? Where's my breakthrough and all that, Leo? It's here. The willpower and tools that are at your disposal are within reach or in your environment. So pay attention to what is actually around you and how you can get creative with what is around you, with what you have, Leo. That's the most important message I feel like to take from the Magician right now is get creative with what you have, because what you have is enough. I feel like that's really powerful. All right, so next one. Oh my gosh. Leos. The World card in the near future for your 2020 year. These major arcana cards are informing the next decade, I want to point out here too, especially. The World, Leo. This is prime manifestation. This is prime abundance. This is mastering the elements. You know, this is mastering your tools. This is reaching satisfaction and a place of joy and feeling rich and feeling wealthy in your place, in your role, in your purpose. And you know, the world can be representing material abundance as well here for some of you Leos. 2020 looks to be an excellent year to manifest more. I know for some of us Leos, there's been a bit of a struggle to do that. But it looks like there's a payoff with the world showing up here. It's just so beautiful. And I'm telling you, you Leos thought, some of you thought that you've grown fast in the last year or 2 or 3. You're going to be growing super fast and making some quantum leaps in 2020. Incredible. Let's go ahead and turn over the next card though. So in the position of your personal power, ooh, another major arcana, Judgment. This is your personal power for 2020, okay? So this is the fire angel on your side, Michael. But your superpower I'm getting from this, Leo, is going to be truth-bringing and awakening others to what you are discovering here, especially the spiritual knowledge and pursuits that are being handed to you, that you're absorbing. Sharing those, that is going to be your superpower. It's almost like, I feel like for a lot of you Leos, people are going to almost want to congregate around you. It's almost like you're getting a congregation of people and followers whether you want them or not. You're a big part of some people's awakening right now, Leo. It's no surprise since we've entered in the Aquarius and Leo age. And I feel like some of your superpower, what Judgment is saying here too, is, well, it's definitely within some of your psychic insight, and some of your superpower also has to do with connecting with ancestors or past lives. Because there's energy that you can draw, or wisdom that you can draw from ancestors or past lives. So that's really deep. But you know, these two cards, especially High Priestess and Judgment, these are deep cards. Powerful. So Leo, ooh my, okay. You have the Wheel of Fortune showing up in the position of other people. Okay, so other people surrounding you. First of all, a lot of people surrounding you in 2020. Yeah, and it's right next to the world. I feel like, Leos, y'all are going to see a lot more opportunity in 2020 to raise your finances, to raise your prosperity. Other people are going to be much more willing to give you those prosperity raising opportunities. You know, so whether it's jobs or some other way of earning and welcoming in income, inheritance even, you know, with Judgment being underneath here potentially for some of you, inheritance coming in, money does look like it's coming in. I don't know about you, but that's always good news, you know, at least here for me. Who doesn't like that? And who doesn't need more of money, right? But even just speaking from a spiritual karmic point here, there's a lot of prophetic relationships showing up for you, and vice versa. You know, you're good for them. You're prophetic for them. In 2020, man, the synchronicities between relationships is going to be on point, is what the cards are saying. And I feel like, Leo, with this as well, there's a message of connecting more with your fixed sign family. So I think you're going to see yourself connecting more to Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, and fellow Leos. The fixed signs together hold the four corners of the world, hold and guard over the four directions, the four elements. Very important role. Some would argue perhaps the most important roles. The fixed signs hold extraordinary power, and there's an awakening that must happen with them. And so you're going to be bumping bumping heads, but in a good way, collaborating, I feel like, you know, with fellow fixed signs. Just more encounters. It's beautiful. All right, so hopes and fears. We have the 8 of Swords. You know, there's a fear of not knowing, a fear and paranoia that we're a little familiar with, perhaps, of not knowing how something is going to develop, change, and come about. How the breakthrough will develop. A little bit more faith. There are still tests of faith and tests of trust coming up here for us Leos in 2020 with this. You know, we're still having, many of us Leos, to have to really learn how to re-trust, how to how do I say this? I guess re-put our faith in people again. You know, trying to ignite that faith and trust with others again. So that's still an ongoing theme, because I feel like many of us are already here, but it's still part of what's going on in 2020. And the hope, I feel like with the 8 of Swords here, essentially is that the faith will completely work out and work in favor. And I do believe, Leo, that essentially, overall, that will be the case. Just don't get too caught up in the anxiety of how something is going to turn over, transform, manifest. Letting go of a little bit of that control. Especially, I'm feeling, Leo, when it comes to relationships. You know, less with like work and material manifesting, and even spiritually in some ways. It's definitely, I feel like, more of an intimacy thing. Putting more trust. Learning how to really place your trust in intimacy again. All right, last card, Leo, we have the Ten of Wands showing up. There's some fire energy for you. Ten of Wands. Bear with me here, I'm just reviewing your cards a little bit. So overall, 2020 holds many opportunities, an overwhelming amount in some ways of paths, of extensions, of, you know, numerous relationships, just numerous. There's a lot to be downloaded. There's a lot to be held. And it might feel a little overwhelming. But I feel like, Leo, you're going to have the strength and the wisdom to handle more and numerous and increased responsibility or increased knowledge, which I feel like for overall, for most Leos, this is what it's speaking to, is the burden of knowledge. Essentially, the burden that knowledge and wisdom can bring. Yet, you're still carrying it. And you do have the strength to carry it. To carry that burden. Much can be given to you in 2020, Leo. Much wants to be given to you. I mean, Magician, World, Wheel of Fortune, Ten of Wands, yeah. And I do feel like many of you are going to be taking it and running with it. Lots. But there you have it, Leo. If you do want to do a personal reading with me, of course you can always contact me or reach out through my Etsy shop or contact me through my email, whatever. The information is on my Facebook page. It's in the descriptions box on YouTube, all that jazz, Leo. I think 2020 is ushering in a beautiful year and new decade for you, Leo. Overall, it feels exciting and it feels magnanimous. And it just feels like you are stepping up, Leo. So, my dear tribe, take care, and I will talk to you again soon.